Hello people, I'm Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hello there.
We're going to talk about Jumanji, Into the Jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. That's the one. As per usual, I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown as to how we felt about the film, and then we'll go into more detail about it. So a quick thanks to 4DX and Real D for giving us the opportunity to watch this movie early.
We got to watch it in Real D, 3D,
And
and
4DX.
4DX,
Yeah.
which was amazing for this movie.
Yeah, I wanna say real quick, because I know it's gonna sound like BS. No joke, this is actually a really good film to watch in 3D, and I'm not BSing that. I'm not saying that just because Real D gave us the screening along with 4DX. I'm actually not predisposed to buying a 3D ticket, but this I was like, oh, either 3D technology is just improving in general, or this was just a really good film that lent itself to 3D.
If there is a 4DX near you, I would definitely watch this in 4DX. It felt like you were on a really long simulator ride.
Yes.
And I almost feel like it made me enjoy the movie more.
I would agree with that. So let's get into this. This comes from IMDb. 4 teenagers discover an old video game console and are literally drawn into the game's jungle setting, becoming the adult avatars they choose. I want to say at the outset, I was a little bit apprehensive about this film, and then another trailer came out and I'm like, okay, maybe this could be good. Then another trailer came out and I'm like, I'm just gonna hold out. I'm gonna see how this is, but I'm not gonna have any expectations and I hope for the best going into this. I wanna say that overall, it was all right. It's got a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. I'm inclined to agree with that score. That's an aggregate score. That's not how everybody feels. Just like Rotten Tomatoes is not like the score of the world. It's an aggregate. This is about how many people liked it versus how many people didn't like it. I would say that I felt it was all right. There were definitely fun moments through the film. It being in 4DX and 3D certainly was enhanced the experience of it being this fun romp, this fun adventure. For a kid's film, it's like, it teetered too strong on the line of being more adult themed, adult natured with some of the sex jokes in the film, but overall, it was a fun movie. It's not one you're gonna remember forever, but if you're just looking for a fun popcorn flick to take your kids to, cover their eyes sometimes or cover their ears sometimes or whatever it is, I think that it's a fun film. There was definitely some moments where I was laughing out loud, and I cannot take that away from the film. It certainly had me smiling and cracking up sometimes. If you just wanna know whether or not you should watch it, I think that if you're gonna watch it, you should watch it in theaters.
Yeah.
Ideally, in 4DX or 3D, because that would be the best way to experience this movie.
Yeah, and it comes out around Christmas time anyway, so it's a fun thing to do with your family, I think.
All right, let's jump into this. Obviously, if you grew up with Jumanji like I did, the first thing you'll notice is that it was an electronic game instead of a board game. They addressed that pretty early on in the film, and I think the way they addressed it was actually smart. I think they did a good job of updating it to the times, which is the whole point of this, with the rebirth of this franchise, is kind of updating it to the new generation. In that regard, it was effective. They did a good job of updating it to the time. Like I said in the earlier part of this video, I just had issues with the comedy a little bit. While there was a lot of laugh out loud moments for me, a lot of fun moments, the tone was just a little bit confusing for me because it felt like it was sort of like a 90s movie, but the jokes were overt the way they would be in an adult comedy today. Obviously, they weren't, dropping F-bombs, but the joke, they were dick jokes, to put it like straightforward to you guys. This is a kid's movie. If I'm taking my 5-year-old to watch this, I don't want them to get an earful of dick jokes. That's just, I don't want that. Why are you doing that to me? Movie. So that being said, if you can set that aside, or if you don't care about that at all, like I do, with regards to kids and their precious ears, it's gonna be a fun film. It's not a perfect movie, but there was definitely some fun action in the film, fun comedic moments. They certainly play with this kind of video game-esque world in a very strong way.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those sort of knowing moments where they made a point of kind of pointing it out, like, oh, this is a video game and we're kind of being tongue-in-cheek with this, and if you play video games, you're totally gonna get this joke.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. That was great. I just felt like sometimes, as you said, the tone was really confusing because sometimes I felt like they were going for that kind of knowing comedy tongue-in-cheek thing, and then sometimes it wasn't really that, so I felt like they were a bit confused about what the tone was.
They had these moments where they wanted it to be emotionally meaningful, but the movie was so self-aware that I could not find it emotionally meaningful. I got what they were going for in the moment, but it didn't actually move me. Whereas, for better or worse, Jumanji, the original one with Robin Williams, actually moved me. That film has some kind of emotional thing for me, whether it's nostalgia and it's just kind of this legacy thing, or it's actually still there and present. That was not here. This film was kind of making fun of itself throughout, and it's making fun of this generation of video games. I liked that there were some moments where it was making fun of things you'll experience in a video game. That was fun. Like, if you play games, it's all inside jokes for you. I forgot to mention earlier, as a summary, this film is like The Breakfast Club meets Uncharted meets Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Now, I know it sounds redundant to say Uncharted and Indiana Jones. Obviously, it's like the same thing to some people, but this truly is a combination of all three, in my opinion, with comedy on top of it. And the standout comedic character, who I think you'll agree with, is Jack Black.
Yes. Definitely. I enjoyed his performance the most. When I saw the trailers, I was a little bit concerned that because he was playing a teenage girl, that he was going to take it to a really over-the-top place. Ultimately, I found that his performance was actually the most grounded, surprisingly. And he moved me. He touched me. I was like, oh,
yeah, I
like this character. I like Jack Black in this movie.
The draw into this film isn't Jack Black, even though he's the standout actor, the standout character. The draw into this film is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart. And if you're into Karen Gillan, I thought she was hot, but I had no idea who she was before this movie, even if she was famous. Like,
she's in Guardians of the Galaxy as Nebula, but you wouldn't recognize her because she was all blue.
There you go. So,
or Doctor Who, which you don't watch.
I thought she was better representative of Tomb Raider or Lara Croft than the new Lara Croft that's coming out. Haven't seen the film yet, and I'm gonna totally retract that statement if I get a screening pass to watch that movie.
So totally upfront about that.
I'm just gonna sell out. I have no shame in selling out to watch that movie and give you guys a review early. But Karen Gillan was good. Dwayne Johnson was funny. Let me state this. He is a movie star, and I think what he brings to the film is awesome. Somehow, Jack Black just eclipses everybody in this movie, including Kevin Hart, who I love. I think Kevin Hart's great. I think he did a great job.
Yeah, he brought the comedy.
But he brought Kevin Hart.
Comedy.
Yeah,
he brought Kevin Hart to the table, and I like Kevin Hart, so like I'll buy that every time.
Again, I didn't like all the dick jokes in the movie. That just really annoyed me. Like, I'm like, there are kids here. You know what it reminded me of? This is gonna really date me, but it reminded me of Matrix Reloaded when I watched that in theaters for the second time, and I saw moms coming in with their kids, and I'm like, there was an orgy scene in the movie. This rave orgy scene in the film, and I'm like, well, it's not that bad. It's still like, it's kids. It's just, it just feels weird. I can't enjoy the movie because I know there's kids watching, and I felt the same way with this. But in general, it seems like people are really liking this film. So I'm in the minority. Ignore me. I am an old fogey with regards to the humor. It was all right. It was a fun film. You'll watch it, and you won't, take this with you forever, but you'll enjoy it while you're there. It's like a one-night stand.
Don't take it too seriously. Don't go in with like expectations of this monumentally great Oscar-winning movie because it's not. It's just fun.
While I did not love the sex jokes in the film, I think that Jake Kasdan, the director, did a great job overall with creating a fun adventure with the tongue-in-cheek video game moments. While there were some emotional moments that the film wanted me to have that were lost on me, overall, I think Jake Kasdan did a great job. I think the writers, Chris McKenna, Eric Somers, and everyone else who was part of the writing, because IMDb is not giving me the whole thing right now, I think they all did a great job. Making a movie's, I know that this goes without saying, but making a movie's hard. Updating a film that is beloved by people from years ago, this kind of rebirth of the film, that's hard. There are some people who are just gonna be automatically reluctant to it because they're like, no, you're messing with, a classic, even though Jumanji's not really a classic. I think that they did a good job overall. I would trust them to do another Jumanji film if they wanted to. I would trust them to do another comedic film altogether if they wanted to. If I was a studio head or whatever, I would give them more money to do more films, because they did a solid film here. This wasn't awful by any stretch. There were some things that I just didn't appreciate, some things that didn't work for me, but I can appreciate the fact that this was a solid film.
Watching it in 4DX just enhanced the whole experience for me, so I feel like it just made me like it even more. So if you have that opportunity to do it.
Our sponsor for this review is Stardust. If you haven't heard of Stardust yet, it's an app you can download for your phone. It allows you to record reviews and reactions between 3 and 30 seconds long for movies, trailers, and TV shows.
It's also like a social media basically for people who love movies. So if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you're someone who loves movies. It's so easy to just have a quick chit chat about it, give your initial thoughts for 30 seconds or less on what you felt about the movie. If you're like me and you want to get people's opinions on movies that you're interested in watching, you can just pick a movie and just watch everyone's reviews on it. It's kind of like Instagram stories, and you just flick through it. You're like, okay, interesting to me, not interesting.
Except it's focused just on movies and not all these other things that's going on with your friends. It's solely focused on the conversation about the film medium, whether it's a movie, trailer, or TV show. So you guys, please download the app using the link in the description below. Follow us first as we recommended it to you, and after you upload your first video, make sure to tag us both on Twitter, both of us on Twitter, so that we see it and we can include your video on our next video. That wraps up our review for Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Let me know if you guys watch it, and if you watch it, tell me how you watched it. I'm curious to know if you watch it in 4DX or in Real D 3D. I stand by my statement, those two things enhance the viewing of this film. That being said, I didn't watch it without those things, but I certainly felt it. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Please check out ACHARA KIRK on the social media. If you'd like to help support the channel, please go to patreon.com/JabyKoay. There are different tiers with rewards waiting for you if you're interested in that stuff. If you're interested in helping out with supporting the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Check out our other reactions, reviews, and short films. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.